3 years with a Delonghi Pinguino Portable Air Conditioner. In this video, I'm going to give you the pros and the cons, what I've learned after 3 years of constant use with this Pinguino and portable air conditioners in general, and a slight twist in the storyline, and finally the why. Why did I choose a portable air conditioner and why the Delonghi Pinguino? So let's get started with what model of Pinguino this is. It's a long number, so I'm just going to put it on your screen rather than trying to say all this out. I purchased this from QVC in late May of 2018, and you may say, well, wait a minute, that's more like 4 years. Well, yes, but I didn't actually use it for a year after I bought it. It sat for an entire year because I not only had to get the bike barn built, I had to get it wired, I had to get it insulated, and I had to deal with some flooring issues. If you're a follower of KevCentral, you'll know I had a whole big ordeal, but I will give Tough Shed props. Not only did they resolve the issue, I mean, they went above and beyond. I'm sitting on almost 12 inches of concrete. That's how far into making sure the problem was resolved that they went. So I finally got my Tough Shed like I wanted it, and it was time to install the air conditioner, which I did. And I found a photo of the day I actually installed it, and I did what some call a permanent installation, actually more a semi-permanent installation. I routed it to a dryer vent, a duct that vents to the outside. So, kind of a permanent installation. I looked at my date on the photo where I installed this, and it was June 21st, 2019. I want you to keep that date in the back of your mind. Since I installed this out of the box, flawless performance. This works great as an AC in my heavily insulated barn. This is actually kind of overly insulated. I have expansion foam behind a lot of this insulation. It's sealed up so well that it kind of creates a negative pressure area when the air conditioner is on. It's hard to open the door. And in my 3 years of running this air conditioner, I've learned a lot about both it and portable ACs. So we'll get going with 3 years of the pros. What I really like about the Delonghi. First, this unit, it's 12,500 BTU. It's rated at cooling up to 480 square feet. The square footage is 216 for the actual floor square feet. But there's more, because square footage is usually calculated on a building or a room with 8-foot ceilings. My bike barn, the ceilings here, 14 feet and 9 inches up to the peak. That's a lot of extra volume of air that needs to be cooled. So I calculated this to about 320 square feet of cooling area. And this 12,500 BTU Delonghi Pinguino pulls it off. It cools well. I can set it to 75 degrees and it stays 75 degrees. Now it does run a lot, but it will keep it cool. I can bump it down to 71 even on 100 degree summer days, and it will cool if I'm not coming in and out constantly. Another pro, it's not just an air conditioner. This particular Pinguino is what is called a 4-in-1 unit. Many portable ACs are just an AC, or they're what's called a 3-in-1. That's air conditioner, dehumidifier, and fan. This is a 4-in-1. It's an air conditioner, a dehumidifier, a fan, and a heat pump, because this is also my heater in the bike barn. It works just as well in the winter as it does in the summer. Pro number 3, portable ACs are easy to install. There is a hose that connects right to the back here. This hose is flexible, expandable, and it would route, for most people, to a window. There are window bracket accessories and where that hose adapts down to be able to fit in this small oval here, because a window would just close right down on this. So very, very easy to install. Even with what I have, this more permanent installation method, where you can see I just ran that hose right to a dryer vent mount into the wall. Another pro of the Delonghi Pinguino. So portable ACs in general, pretty easy to install. The Pinguino, even easier. I mentioned this hose. It's a standard size. Many portable AC units have these freakishly large hoses, and they'll be a weird size. It'll be not quite 5 inches or not quite 6 inches. Very hard to get them adapted to standard ductwork. The Pinguino with its basic hose, actually quite easy, because I purchased this from QVC, as I've already mentioned. QVC, they always give you a few little extra things. For instance, this one, well, it comes with the remote, the usual mounting hardware, but it also came with this storage bag, Delonghi branded, even a pocket for the instruction manual. And what this does is I could slip this over the unit. If it were a seasonal unit and it wasn't in service at specific points, I could put that storage cover, end of season cover they call it. Also got a bag, a Delonghi branded bag. That's for all these accessories. But this one also came with this, a wall flange with cap. And that's what is mounted where this hose goes into the wall. Another big thing about the Delonghi Pinguino and its more standard size hose, that flange came with the unit and it adapted straight into a standard wall dryer vent. I didn't have to start trying to adapt a weird size hose and tape it onto adapters and hope that there wasn't too much play. With the Delonghi, very standard, very much not a super huge hose, and that's probably the biggest pro. That's what steered me to a Delonghi, knowing that I could route it straight out of wall using that flange cap. A big deal, a massive pro. It's even easy to get it onto the back of the unit. There are two little clips here that tab in. I'll talk more about these in a second, but it just clips right in here, and then that flange cap and the adapter there go straight into the wall. Super simple. Another pro for this Pinguino, right down there at the very bottom, there is a drain port. Not every portable AC has a drain port. Many of them don't. They're what they call an evaporative unit. Water will collect off the condenser, and the hot air blowing around in the unit before it comes out is supposed to dry out that water. And I guess if you live in a non-humid climate, that probably works. In Alabama, with our hot and humid summers, trust me, it cannot. I know people that have portable AC units that don't have that drain, and every 5 hours they have to empty it out or the unit will shut itself down because it will sense that it has collected too much water. Not so with the Pinguino. Got that drain port. You can see here right under my vent hose and right under my vent outside there is a water drain. It drains right out that hose, right through my wall, and straight outside. I never have to worry about emptying that, which is good. The final pro is going to be price. This was $399.99 because I purchased it from QVC. It means I only had to pay something like $120 a month divided up over a few months. So compared to a mini split system, significantly cheaper, though we'll talk about mini splits in just a moment, as well as potential of window units. But now I want to get to the cons, because while it has worked flawlessly for 3 years, there are some cons. Number one, it's loud. You may hear the AC running in the background. It is noticeable. Now that's not necessarily just a Delonghi Pinguino thing. This is a portable air conditioner. Everything is inside. It's all in this little case here. So there's nowhere else for the sound to be redirected. For example, on a window unit. Window units are known to be loud, but the compressor is actually on the other side of the window from the cooled room, so they're not as loud as this because that compressor, it's inside that box. Now they do a good job of keeping it as quiet as possible, but it's nowhere near as quiet as a window unit, which is nowhere near as quiet as a central unit, because everything's outside then. All you have inside is the sounds of air blowing through a vent. Another negative, but also just part of the portable AC reality, is that cool air blows out the front. At the back, this exhaust port where this hose connects, that is super hot air, and it's going through a plastic hose that is going to radiate heat, massive amounts of heat. So while the very front of an air conditioner is cold, get around to the side of it, get around to the back especially, very warm. I mean radiating heat. Counterproductive in a way, and why these portable ACs aren't as efficient as a window unit or a central unit, because the hot air, I mean it's cooling out the front, but then all this hot air is radiating out of the back and being sucked back into the unit to then recool. So it's kind of self-defeating in a way, but it's only a small percentage of the cooling efficiency that it loses, because they do cool enough to cool my entire bike barn. that is still a negative, but again, a byproduct of a portable AC. I mentioned this hose. I like the hose. I like that it's a standard that fits a standard exhaust duct, and it came with the flange that I need. But I don't like the other end of this, where this mounts into the back of here. The hose would be mounted on it like so, and then it would clip in here. Well, there are two little tabs there, and you can see these two clips. Well, this is designed, most portable air conditioners, the hose, at least for this one, is going to come up. And the way this is designed, let me see if I can get it in here. This goes in and it twists into place and just kind of barely holds. You see that? And if I rattle enough on this, you can see it's already detached on one side. That's just a byproduct of this two-tab design, but also I think they thought that most people would have this going up to a window, because it turns out when there is upward pressure on the bottom of the hose, it actually locks in better. For me, my hose goes down. Not ideal, but I mitigated the problem of both this and the heat radiating out of the back. Because what I did was I took that hose and I found some insulation wrapped, made just for ductwork like this, and I wrapped it around that hose, then I sealed it with foil tape. Almost completely eliminated the amount of heat that radiates out of the back of this unit, making it decently efficient in the process. Now there is one last con, and it's a biggie. I just mentioned that I've had 3 years of trouble-free service out of this particular Delonghi Pinguino. Well, that's 3 years to the day, because on its 3rd anniversary of being installed, I installed it, remember I told you to remember that date, June 21st, 2019. It's dated on the picture when I first installed it. June the 21st of 2020, this died. Now, I was in the bike barn in the mid-evening hours, or I don't know what you call 6 o'clock. In the evening at 6 o'clock, I was in the bike barn, and it was working. That was on June the 20th. Shortly after midnight, I came back into the bike barn, and I noticed it was a little warm in here. So I started doing some investigating, and I found out it's blowing out hot air. It's not blowing cold air. So I went through some troubleshooting steps, which involved checking the exhaust hose to make sure that wasn't somehow blocked, checking to make sure that there wasn't water had collected in the unit. Of course, it was an open drain, so I knew that wasn't the case. And I even unplugged it, let it sit for a couple of hours, plugged it back in, nothing. Still hot air. I can hear the compressor kick on, so I know it's technically still functioning, but either somehow the Freon leaked out, I don't know, something in the electronics is keeping it from actually cooling, but it doesn't work as an air conditioner anymore. Well, it works as a heater if you want to heat in the summer, but I assume in the winter it wouldn't work as a heater either, so it's only a fan right now. See, it's blowing these that I've taped on, but that's all it can do. And freakishly weird that that's literally to the day 3 years, but you know, I'm actually happy with that, because I got 3 years worth of good, excellent service out of something I didn't have to mess with. Just every now and then clean the screen, the little intake screen filter, but I haven't done anything else. It's just worked. And that equates out to something like $133.33 a year, which is pretty good for me considering that the mini splits that I looked at were like $1,000, $999.99 for the one that I looked at, this Mr. Cool, before I decided on this Delonghi Pinguino. It's the middle of summer in Alabama, so that creates a problem. I'm in the bike barn where I need to film. I also have tools in here. If you've ever been in an Alabama building without air conditioning, especially one that's insulated, for some reason, that will make it hotter than it actually is outside. So if it's 100 degrees outside and you walk into an unair conditioned insulated building, it will be hotter and more humid than somehow it is outside. So much so that you can walk out and feel cooler in 100-degree weather, which is just crazy. So I got desperate. I checked the local Home Depot, I checked the local Lowe's. Both had a $700 equivalent to this unit. But that's $700. I only paid $400. I'm not going to pay $300 more for the same performance. Other than the $700 models, there was only one other unit in my city, and that was this. The Hisense that I have here, purchased from Lowe's for $299.99. It's a 7,000 BTU, rated at cooling an area up to 299 square feet. So I guess since I have this here in front of you, I'll give you the pros and cons really quick of it. The pros, it's quiet. Compared to the Delonghi, majorly quiet. Of course, it's less BTU, so half the output, half the sound, I guess. But I have fans, you can hear them going in the background here in the bike barn. I have a loft fan that's really loud, and with it on, I can't really even hear this unit when it's running. Another pro, very cold air comes out of the front of this thing. It works well for what it is, and it has directional air vents. This front vent blows straight out, which I also kind of like better because I'm usually 14 or 15 feet away from the air conditioner in the bike barn, and the Delonghis blow up and at an angle, which means that they're kind of cooling the air over my loft before the coolness starts to seep its way down and cool under the loft, which is where I'm at, 14 or 15 feet away. With this straight out blowing and being able to angle this, no matter where I'm at in front of it, I can angle it to blow the air straight at me. And I also like this form factor. You can see it's physically a lot smaller than the Delonghi, sitting in the corner when I had it mounted noticeably. Less area that it's taking up, and I just like this square design. It looks good. Unfortunately, there are some cons that mean I can't use this. The first of which is that it just can't cool the bike barn. I said this is made for up to 299 square feet, and I'm cooling roughly 320 square feet. It can't do it. The night that I installed it, it was about 7 p.m. I set it to 73 degrees. I left, I came back into the bike barn at about 2 a.m., and it was 73 degrees in here, and the unit had cooled enough that it had turned itself off, waiting on the temperature to come back up so it could kick back on. I left it sealed up again, but this time until 4 p.m. the following day, and it was 100 degrees outside. I walked in the bike barn, and it was 89 degrees. So it was really struggling to cool in here, and that's with it having been sealed up. If I were walking in and out like I need to do when I'm filming or working in the bike barn, it's not going to be able to handle it. So that means, unfortunately, I'm going to have to take this back and try to find something better. And taking it back is going to be easier on the mind because it came with this broken. The boxing for this little thing was super, super thin. So much so that this was broken. Didn't affect me because I had my ductwork already routing through the wall. But if I needed to mount this into a window like most people would, I mean, look how flimsy. It's thick plastic, but it's broken so much that, I mean, the structural integrity, it's all canted and everything. I don't think you would be able to mount this and seal up well. And look at that. That's angled. Compared to here, it's flat, and then it angles and ripples. So at least when I take it back, I can say more than just it doesn't cool my area. It actually had broken parts. And also the hose. I talked about the larger hoses on portable ACs and how Delonghi was better. Look at this. Look how big this hose is. I mean, it's almost bigger than the unit. Here's the Delonghi's hose. Look at this. It can fit in there, and I've got room to wiggle it around. This big, huge hose for that little bitty unit, and this smaller hose for the larger Delonghi. Another pro for the Delonghi, and again, why I chose them. This hose, a big, big part of it. I might as well show you how I adapted this to work with my setup. You remember this that I didn't like? I took those tabs, and I kind of squeezed it into place, and you can see it's not perfect, but it mounted in there, and then I taped this up with painter's tape. And of course my ducting that I already had in place was connected to this, so it worked temporarily. But I knew I wasn't going to like this hosing, but if the unit would have worked, I would have kept it, but it doesn't, and it came with other broken parts, so unfortunately it is going back. The solution, order a new Delonghi Pinguino. You can see it here. The white one that I purchased from Walmart for $274. That's $274 even. It's just like my old one, just white and slightly updated. Well, very close to the old one. I said it was 12,500 BTU, the new one 11,500. Though I do remember right after I purchased this first Delonghi that there was a big uproar about how they compiled BTU ratings for portable air conditioners. And they had to revise them down. So I'm wondering if maybe it's the same compressor, just they had to go down to 11,500 and up to 400 square feet because it cools just as well as my old one in its prime. I can give you the pros and cons of this new unit as they stand at my going into my third day of use with it. The first pro, well, this might be trivial to you, but I like the white color. The other one is charcoal colored, but they called it black, and it was offered in black or white. I chose the black because I thought it would look better, but now that I have a white unit in here, I think once I get these walls painted, it's going to do that visual, more spacious thing, just where it's a mind trick. But I really do like the white, and I like that it's the same form factor. And I also like that it fits my existing hose. This is plug and play, because the hose port, the exhaust location on the back, is in the exact same place. The drain is in the exact same place. I was able to use my existing hose and mounting system with one exception. Remember me not liking those tabs? Well, this new unit has a slight update to this. It's actually about an inch deeper here, and it has a square cutout here and a square cutout on the other side instead of tabs, and it snaps into place nice and firm. The reason you're seeing painter's tape here is those two little snap-in locations. Just a hair bit of air would leak out of that, so I wrapped the painter's tape around there, fully sealed it up, mounts perfectly to my existing hose system. Super thrilled. And continuity like that can build brand loyalty, so maybe Delonghi is onto something using a standard and sticking with that standard. And also a pro, it cools the bike barn just as well as the other Delonghi Pinguino. I have it set to 75 degrees. It's 94 degrees outside. I have studio lights, hot studio lights going. It has maintained 75 degrees while I've been recording this video. Very consistent, very nice. The cons, there are two. The first, you can probably hear it and hear that it has turned off and on while I've been recording. It's as loud as the other Delonghi Pinguino, but I'll have to take. It's portable air conditioner. They're going to be louder. The Delonghi's exceptionally loud, at least these models, but I'll take that over sweating to death. I'll take the consistent, constant cool, and if I can get 3 years of use out of this one like I did out of the last one, I will be super happy. The final con kind of plays into that. You can hear it just turned off. The final con kind of plays into that though. $274 is what this cost. The other one was $399.99. If you're ever at Walmart and you're shopping for something and you see 274 or anything with an even number on the end, that's usually one of two things. It's either a clearance item, closeout item that they're trying to get rid of, or it is a refurb. This is a factory reconditioned unit. You can see right here in the wording that it tells you that it is refurbished, but there are two different types of refurbs in the world. There are factory refurbs, and then there are those third-party refurbishers. And I have found that factory refurbs are usually just as good as a brand new unit. Many times, they're just a reboxed brand new unit. Maybe it was an open box or whatever. This was refurbished by Delonghi. I checked on that, and it looks brand new. I can't tell any signs of use. If you've ever purchased a refurbished Apple product, you'll know. Looks just like a new one, it's just in a brown box. Same thing here. The downside to it being a refurbished and why it lands in the cons, it's only a 30-day warranty. Now that's the factory warranty. Because I purchased this from Walmart, I actually get a 90-day warranty. And I can tell you, $274, it's the middle of summer. That'll put it, the warranty runs out late, like the 20-something of September. If this goes into the 20-something of September, late September, if it's 1 day over the warranty period and it dies for $274, if it gets me through the summer, I will be happy with it. But I fully expect that I'll get another 3 years out of this one, hopefully 3 years plus. I'd be curious to see if it too gives the big kaput on its 3rd anniversary of function. That's my new Delonghi Pinguino, my old Delonghi Pinguino. 3 years to the day of trouble-free use out of it. Thought I would share the tale. I noticed a lot of portable AC videos on YouTube right now, so I thought I would make this one. But I will end with one extra thing, the why. I've covered the pros, the cons. I said I would cover the why. Why not a window AC? They're a little more efficient than this portable AC. They're not as loud. Why not do that? Well, I'm in a bike barn. My bike barn doesn't have windows on the side. There's only one window and it's 12 feet off the ground. And plus it's a vertical window. I don't want to bore a big hole into the side of my bike barn that I spent a lot of time painting, making sure the trim looked nice, and I've tried to keep looking nice. I don't want a big box hanging out of the side. Also, don't want to have to worry about walking into the corner of a box while I'm walking around outside. So that rules out a window unit. Well, why not go with the mini split? When I first started researching an air conditioner for the bike barn, even before the bike barn was built, I was going to go with the mini split. I was going to go with the Mr. Cool mini split, and I talked myself out of it because I didn't know anything about that brand. The budget mini splits, I thought, this is $1,000. That's a lot to risk. And then I found this Delonghi Pinguino on QVC. I was watching QVC one day, and they had this on, and I thought, that's where I need to go till I know more about these mini splits. Well, when this went out, I thought, now is the time for a mini split. That Mr. Cool mini split that I looked at 4 years ago, it was $999. That same one is now $1,700, actually a little over $1,700, or more than I can justify, especially when I found this Delonghi Pinguino replacement for $274 at Walmart that cools just like I'm used to. Functions just like I'm used to, just looks a little better. I mean, just to give you a quick look here, the old one had this kind of old calculator looking LCD. They both come with the remote. I haven't got the remote out on the new one, but you can see the new one, slightly more refined looking. I like the touchpad, doesn't have the cheesy looking LCD screen. So I like the new unit. I'm happy with it. And that's my story. Now comment below if you are a Delonghi Pinguino user, or if you use a portable air conditioner, if you've been considering one. If you have any questions about portable ACs, I know a pretty good bit, especially about the Delonghi Pinguino. Thanks for watching Kev Reviews. Have a great day.